Welcome to the Morning Ping podcast, where coffee, innovation, and community kick off the day. This podcast dives into bold ideas, startup realities, and the people rethinking everyday experiences through technology and grit. Hosted by storyteller Justin Starbert, alongside Ping co-founders Jane Lowe and Rob Whitten. The Morning Ping brings a distinctively New England edge to building what's next. Grab your coffee and join our hosts.
Welcome back to the Morning Ping. My name is Justin Starbird, and as always, I am joined by the Ping founders, Rob Whitten and Jane Lowe. Good morning. Welcome. Thanks for joining me today.
Yeah.
Morning.
Morning.
Good to be here.
It is exciting and bright and early as always. So this is really exciting. I'm thrilled to have you guys on to talk about, episode 2 today. I mean, last week we talked a little bit about the story and what you're trying to solve. And today, what we're wanting to get into is the experience and some of the technology behind, what it is that you guys are doing. And, I love the fact that we talked about automation and expectations, because sometimes with something being really quick or efficient, we sacrifice quality, but you guys really have done a great job on that as well. So it's so neat to jump into this. Let's get technical for a minute, and thinking about competing against some of the big gorillas out there, whether that be Starbucks or Dunkin' and other newer startups, some of which we found yesterday even. What specific features are you excited about that you're bringing to the masses today?
Oh, is it me? Oh, okay. Yeah.
Sorry, you didn't go exactly in order.
Yeah. Well, yeah, sure. I think, for us, the best feature is the zero wait, right? That's the big thing that we're really trying to solve, because, again, my daughters made me go through a bunch of drive-thrus, and I thought the experience was terrible, right? And the wait was a big part of that. And so, for us, I think, probably our most key piece of technology and our most interesting patent that's pending is our sensor augmented geofence, right? So because, people are doing geofences, and they'll start to make your order before you get there. And I think that's interesting. However, in order to fully automate the whole experience and to be able to pick it up just as you arrive, you have to have sensors on site that have more fidelity, more accuracy than GPS. And so that, to us, is what's really going to raise the bar in terms of, that entire experience. And in the same way that Amazon, changed the mail order from 6 to 8 weeks to a couple of days, we want to do the same thing for drive-thrus, and get everybody to actually put some more effort into, not making you wait in those long drive-through lines.
Yeah. I think that the other benefit of it is that it's completely scanless. So customers don't have to scan a QR code, which actually, we know for a fact, will slow down the line. Our height adjusting windows, we've never had one drink spilled because people are actually super good and super quick at grabbing their own drinks. So every piece of technology we felt has been for the sole purpose of getting that wait time down.
Yeah.
Thinking about the geofence and how that differs from satellite and positioning, especially in a rural area, how far away are you? Like, where does the fence begin, or is that proprietary?
Oh, no, we can share that. And it changes a little bit for each pod. So in our current location, we have intersections that are about 300 meters away from the pod on either direction. And so we set the geofence so that, just as you pass through that intersection on the pod side, now we're going to start making your orders. So that way, we can keep the sequencing of everything pretty aligned, and then when you get into the pod, then you're not going to be held up at that intersection for a long period of time. But it'll be situational, right? We'll be able to adjust that for every placement that we have.
And does that ping off of, it must ping off the phone, right? That it was ordered from, so that
Hmm.
that's where it comes from. So is there anything, special or unique in the app that allows, that signal to go out?
Yeah, so in order to keep all the privacy the way we want, we're not directly connecting to your phone. Your phone is telling us like, hey, make my drink. I'm close, right? And so that's what the app is really doing. And it does the same thing with the sensors. We're not directly connecting with your phone. Your phone is sending a signal that says, hey, I'm very close to the window, prepare to open, and then now I'm in the window, open the window. And that way we can keep it, very efficient in terms of the messages that we're sending, but also keep it very private because, yes, you have to share your location, but we're not using that location outside of a very sequenced order.
Right. And we like to make sure our customers know that none of that data is stored. So we only know when you enter a geofence and when you leave it, but we don't even store that information. And we definitely are not using it for commercial purposes.
Right.
Yeah. But we've only ever had one customer who didn't bring their phone.
Yeah.
But that was like definitely an outlier. But it was great because it taught us to like educate a little bit more in the app itself. So that it gives you notification that you should bring your phone.
Yep.
So what about, that's a great point, and I actually hadn't considered that. What about, like if I order it, but I'm not going to pick it up and somebody else is, do you adjust for that, or do you connect, like, is there like a family that you put together?
Yeah, it's one of the features that's on our very near-term roadmap is to be able to identify a pickup person. And so a couple of people could order, identify a pickup person and then just send the runner, the fly and buy sort of
Yeah.
approach to things.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, what we've heard from customers is that their teenage kids will ask them to go pick up their order.
Yeah.
So they're like,
Yeah.
can you please create this feature for us?
Yeah, we love to spoil our children. Yeah.
I mean,
Or the other way, where you make the kids go get it for you.
I know, right? That's the way it should be.
I
yeah.
mean, that's how I would do it.
Yeah.
You want a drink? You got to
Yeah, I somehow didn't manage that. Yeah,
I'm
that's
like,
good.
why else do I have daughters? I send them out shoveling, like, I
Yeah,
mean,
exactly.
at this point, like they owe me.
Yeah.
The least they could do is go get me a coffee.
So do they share that opinion? Is that
Yeah, they should be on this podcast,
Yeah,
Leslie.
let's get them
Yeah,
on
let's
here.
yeah. Hey, we'll bring them on. We'll see. I actually, so it brings me up. We're going off script here, but that actually brings up something that just happened to me and my family, and my daughters. So
Yeah.
my older daughter is actually going through, driver education. She got her permit. She's been, driving for at this point months. And there is a drive-through that is available to us. We tend not to do that because they're, to your point, Jane, last episode, the lines tend to be incredibly long, especially around school pickup and drop off. So what she generally does is actually her sister will use her phone and order ahead, and then we'll go park. She'll run inside, go get it. On this particular day, all systems go. In fact, she was doing a really nice thing and got her friend a drink as well to share in study hall the first period of the day. So they're getting out and we're about to switch seats, and she realizes that the cover is faulty as it's spilling a 32-ounce drink all over the back
Oh,
of the vehicle. So,
yeah.
I know that there is no human interaction with this, and this should have been caught prior to the cup coming out, and her seeing it, but it was missed. How do you maintain that one in a million quality control as well, where there might be a rip in the cover, or a cracked cup?
Yeah, it's a great question. And so right now we have a bunch of sensors inside that help us, understand if things are going well properly and all that sort of thing. But I think, even more interestingly in the long term, we have a bunch of visible sensors set up in there now. But AI is going to play a bigger and bigger role in terms of really replacing a lot of these sensors to be able to actually see in the image if something is properly seated, if we see any sort of imperfections in the cup, or something just doesn't look the way it should look. And so that's you're touching on a very exciting growth path for us, and probably one of the cooler uses of AI, I think, is to now augment all of these sensors in such a way that you're really able to dial in that perfection and catch all those little one-off corner cases like that.
Do you see that as a exciting challenge, Jane, from the customer service element?
Oh, absolutely. One thing we know about like retail food and beverage companies is that consistency and reliability are a huge part of the brand. So obviously with robotic, even if it's driven by robotics or people, like it still needs to deliver on those two things.
Yeah.
So absolutely anything that as technology develops that we can incorporate to better the customer experience, we absolutely will explore.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the great thing is like once you see a problem and you figure out how to solve it, then you can just solve it everywhere, right? You can, make that a part of your process or a part of the system, and or a part of the program, right? You're able to just proliferate your solution throughout the network.
Yeah. Kind of changing gears a little bit here, you've worked really hard to maintain that voice of the customer and hearing what they're asking for in a number of different ways. And I know it's tough to be everything to everyone right out of the gate because you're a startup, right? We're trying to solve
Yeah.
the biggest problems first and then put them out there. One of the things I love that you're working towards is these pods being available 24/7 to the folks that are working all night. And how difficult I've talked to actually a lot of robotic companies recently, and in the coffee space adjacent to you, and the concern from customers is how difficult it is to get a quality cup of coffee working late. They don't have Starbucks open, or most Dunkins are closed. Certainly the smaller retail mom and pop places or smaller chains are not open at that time, and so they're reliant on what comes out of vending machines and whatnot. How do you, and it's the roots of New England, rather, right, where you have there's still a lot of manufacturing here. There's still a lot of people that are working overnight shifts, in addition to thinking about healthcare and emergency service workers. That said, how do you plan to tackle that both from a technology standpoint, but then from a customer service standpoint?
Yeah, 24/7.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the great thing about having all the sensors that we were talking about before is that it also allows for remote monitoring, right? So we're running this as a hub and spoke model. So in that hub, we'll have that 24/7 monitoring of all the sensors, and then if we have to have somebody go out to service a pod to make sure it's fully operational, we'll be able to do that. And I think having all that set up. I mean, we plan to touch them every day, anyways, right? To resupply, to clean, to check on everything associated with a pod. But having that 24/7 allows us to just be able to react very, very quickly. We'll have that network in place, and again, having all of these programmed and on the same type of system. If we see one sort of issue in one place, we're able to kind of find the solution and just make sure it's solved all the way across the board, which I think is cool. But then having the quality coffee, I think really speaks to the pre-brew that we're using. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. The 24/7 allows us to capture all drink occasions, right? Not just the morning commute or the afternoon, like all drink occasions.
Yeah.
I mean, the other great thing about this, speaking to the quality of what we're providing, is that quality of the product has always been a focus for us. So why should someone who already has limited options, working the graveyard shift, not get a great cup of coffee too?
Yeah.
Right. So the thing about our coffee is that we partner with Cometier. They flash freeze their brew when the beans are roasted at the right time. So every time you're getting a perfect cup of coffee, it's been precision brewed, right? So that allows for a lot of consistency. Like today at a traditional coffee shop, the barista has to dial in the espresso machine every single day and sometimes multiple times a day, right? Like things like humidity have an effect on that. So it really depends on the quality of like.
Well, they should dial it in.
Yes.
So yeah. So
right.
let's just say that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it really depends on the barista really like knowing how to do that and doing it when it should be. So there are lots of like areas where, quality might not be as good. And the other thing that we do provide is that all of our ingredients are in a refrigerated environment. So that means that they are kept fresh. So I mean, if you haven't, or if anyone listening to this hasn't done this, walk into a Starbucks or a Dunkin', and you'll see actually that almost all their ingredients are on the counter. They're all shelf stable, except for their milks. And
well, they're on the counter too. I mean, when they're busy, that jug of milk is sitting on the counter. You don't know really for how long, which.
Yeah, the milk is in and out of like the refrigerator. So with us, it's always refrigerated. We keep really good tabs on inventory and just like inventory management. So there's like a lot to be argued for why this is a fresher, better tasting cup of coffee.
Yeah.
You've also started to tackle non-coffee beverages as well. What, precipitated that? Is that something that expands the potential market in an area? What's the rationale behind it?
Absolutely. I mean, and not everyone loves coffee. We've actually found in our research that tons of people don't like coffee. Totally fair. And so even though we found during our pilot that we saw most of it was 75% of it was coffee. Energy drinks are a huge one. And so for some change, you'll see Dutch Brothers, Aroma Joe's, like energy drinks actually are better sellers in some cases. So not only do we have coffee and espresso-based drinks, we have the energy drinks, we have teas, lemonades, refreshers, Italian sodas. So we have a broad spectrum of our menu.
And it was a big discovery for me to realize that energy drinks don't have to be super sweet. By the way, you can actually make an energy drink that isn't loaded with sugar. It doesn't have to taste like a Red Bull or something like that.
This is true.
Yeah.
Our customers are very multi-generational, but we were actually surprised to find that a lot of adults love our energy drinks because at baseline, they're not pre-sweetened. And so they love the fact that it's healthier and it's,
it's one of the cool things you get to do with automation, right? You can dial in all your sweetness levels. And actually, just the other day, we had a customer suggested, I don't know why we hadn't thought of it before. It was like, I'd really like to be able to adjust my caffeine level. Like I'd like to, this guy monitors his caffeine intake every day. And it's like, if I could, adjust that down to exactly what is left in my allocation for the day, that would be amazing. And that's something we could totally do. So it's a new feature.
It's interesting you say that. I was working late the other night, and that was actually one of the comments I made is like, I don't need a whole cup of coffee. I don't need a whole Red Bull. I'd like this much. And so you're saying that with the energy drinks, not only so they're proprietary, then if you're able to dial them in and every person can have their own brew essentially for an energy. Is that accurate?
Yeah. So like today you have half calf at some places for coffee shops. In our case, you can have a similar way of adjusting that for your energy drinks or
So and eventually we want to have like a super user version of this where you could dial in exactly. Right now we're kind of using the old paradigm of like, oh, this is, 1 or 2 shots or something like that. We can dial this down to the milliliter, right? So you could have your exact, drink and get to your exact flavors, and you can combine whatever flavors you want. You actually might be able to create some very unique and new flavors by combining, 10 different things. We don't care. It's like, think of it as 3D printing a drink, right? So from our perspective, you can do whatever you want, really, which is, I don't know. I think it's fun and cool and exciting.
And I think from the customer perspective, they will really appreciate the ability to customize and personalize their drinks to their preferences, their taste preferences, and their needs around intake, around caffeine, for example. Yeah.
That is really exciting. You can, really like, and then name their own brew, right? Like in their app or personalize it, right? You can get I love that idea of the, scaling to one, right? That's what all these brands and companies really want to do. You're actually capable of doing that. And all that still stays under 60 seconds.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's
Wow.
very achievable, which is super cool. And then you can take it another level and you could share that drink. What if you could have the same drink
Right.
that Ryan Reynolds had this morning,
Yeah.
or something like that. I
Hey,
think
we're
there's
in
a whole.
Boston. It's going to be like Ben Affleck or Matt
All
Damon.
right, yeah, we got Ben. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get
Although
Gronks.
I don't know if they would, I don't know if they'd punt their partnership with Duncan, but
Well, I was gonna
that's,
say we're gonna have to steal them from
Oh
Dunkin'.
yeah, well,
Yes. Yeah.
we're coming for you, Duncan.
Yeah.
yeah.
But like celebrities are always going viral for the crazy drinks they drink. So
Oh yeah,
like the ability to offer a Pedro Pascal, for example, where he like drinks 6 shots of espresso.
yeah.
Um,
Does he get that in the helmet?
You get
Yeah.
a Mike Vrabel or a Drake May,
yeah.
there
Oh
you
yeah.
go. Somebody that isn't tied yet, I'd say let's reach out to them early.
Oh yeah. And Vrabel's been killing it lately. Like
Yeah.
it'd be so cool to have him on the team. Just watching him coach now, I think he's really in his prime. Yeah, let's make some
Hey,
calls.
I know this will probably come out after the Super Bowl, so our fingers are crossed.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
I think we got a
We're
good shot.
confident. Yeah.
Yeah.
so thinking about that scaling to one though, and kind of going back to that personalization, does that change any of the, this is right now we're starting a WeFunder campaign. We've opened it up to a community round, which means
Hmm.
that users and evangelists, really get the opportunity to actually own part of the business, and be part of the success going forward. Does this personalization dip into margins at all, or is it a significant difference in terms of like cost and one drink versus another?
No, I mean, and I'm glad you mentioned the WeFunder. It's super important to us that our customers are able to invest in Ping, not just wealthy accredited investors, right? So that's just an exciting thing for us to be able to do. But yeah, in terms of things that you put in your drink, you pay for what you bought, right? And there's not a big giant markup on top of it. There's no tip on top of it. So we're still able to keep all the drink prices very reasonable. And that's one of the big points is, we thought, a $10 latte is getting out of control, right? And then, people want to tip on top of that. So, being able to have something that's, faster, better, and cheaper, like that's the ultimate goal. And I think that's the cool thing that automation can do for us is like we're able to put all the the money you pay into the drink itself. It's not into a fancy, storefront or just extra people sitting around when you're not there, that sort of thing, right?
I mean, importantly, Rob built this robotic system to scale.
Mhm.
And the other great thing about it is it's very adaptive. So no matter what the drink trend is of the day, we can adapt our robotics to quickly be able to serve those drinks to you. It's just a matter of swapping ingredients in and out. So to your question, because it is designed to scale,
Mhm.
it even with and designed to be a customized experience.
Right.
Yes. In this case, the integration of these types of personalizations is just part of our existing system.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. So going one step further, thinking about margins and how you can personalize and scale to one, what about how the pods differ from, say, the brick and mortars? You mentioned Jane and Rob just momentarily. You mentioned that the
Our
whatever.
dog's adjusting. That's why the camera was shaking. He just like nudged yeah, that's funny.
That's
That's why
all right.
we're laughing.
Mine's out.
Yeah.
Ours are out there. Ours are out there. So I just hopefully don't hear them bark. But
Yeah.
all
No,
that
you're
said, yeah,
yeah.
I mean, they go with me on my morning walk with a coffee in hand. So
Yeah.
hopefully there's a ping pod in our neighborhood here soon, and that's actually what I want to compare to you mentioned the cost of a drink being $10 or more, or thereabouts, and it going to location, upkeep, and staff. What is the difference in terms of those costs versus a pod when you eventually get to the opportunity to license?
Yeah, so it was super important for us to be able to, make these pods very cost effectively, and our design is made to go into a contract manufacturer and to be mass produced. And we think we can make a pod for about 100K, and we think a licensee will be able to open a new site for under 200K all in, including the pod, pre-opening costs, all that sort of thing, and all the permits. And to me, that's a really exciting number, right? Because that means somebody like us, with some money and a lot of motivation and a lot of drive could actually, have ownership. And I think that's what automation should do for people, not necessarily kind of make the uber rich richer, by taking jobs away, but provide ownership opportunities. And like if you look at say trying to open a Dunkin's, you have to have 1 million liquid. You have to be kind of rich to open a Dunkin's. And for us, being able to offer ownership opportunities to, the middle class, again, people like us, I think that's just super exciting, and the way automation should be used, and it allows people to also do what people are good at. Now, when you're the owner, you could show up, be the site host, and say, hey, this is my ping pod, and teach people how to use it and be a part of the story, have feedback and be able to help us upgrade it over time, and make improvements and just make it better and better and better. So yeah, I think it's super exciting where we ended up landing in terms of the cost of the pod, and what opportunities we're going to be able to provide for people, and the way we can scale and actually get to your neighborhood quickly. Like licensees will find the sites, they'll put up some capital. We'll, come there, put up the pod, and get that support structure in place with the hub and spoke model, and we'll be able to move quickly. And it's funny because once you explain the licensee deal to people, and I just got one this morning. You'll get these texts like, I found a great spot for a ping pod, man. Look at this long line. Look at this cool little spot right over here. That nobody's been able to do anything with this like weirdo little parking lot. But guess what? A pod would fit there perfectly. So, we'll be able to grow as a big ping team, which is really, really fun.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, coffee is very community based,
Yeah.
very local in many ways. So we want people to feel good about going to a pod where someone local who's embedded in the community is running it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can think of a number of places just in my area.
I know, right? You're gonna probably text us later. It's like, how about this one?
Yeah. You're like, hey, I'll be a licensee. This is great. All right, so let's get out of here on like one aspirational element and where you see the design and fundamentally, how you are hoping to change the way in which consumers purchase coffee.
Absolutely. It's literally we're always striving to reset expectations, like continue to move those goalposts of just amazing customer experience and service further and further.
Yeah, I mean, it's the big near-term goal is speed, right? We don't want people to have to wait in drive-through lines. That's a very I think gut feeling for a lot of people that they don't like that, and would love to see it change. But I think long term, we are probably one of the best examples of what I call physical AI and what it could do for your daily life, as opposed to, a lot of people are addicted to humanoids and that sort of thing. And sure, maybe that'll be, really interesting, someday. But I think this is a way for, AI and, the physical delivery of a drink to really, you'll be able to watch it morph over time and get better and better and customize these things to you. I mean, someday you could be connected to this, and if you're a little bit under the weather, we add a little vitamin C to your drink if you want. Like there are just like really cool things that could happen, and it's starting with drinks, but soon it will be snacks and convenience items and food. And if you need something, you don't order it and, to hope to time it perfectly. You just swing by the next ping pod, right? And I think there's, just a powerful network effect that we'll be able to achieve long term with this. So,
I mean, I think the analogy like you like to use is like Amazon Prime.
yeah.
So when Amazon Prime was the 2-day shipping promise was made, people were like minds
It's
exploding,
life changing. Yeah. Like now you're able to
Absolutely.
do stuff you couldn't do before.
That
Yeah.
reset the goalposts
Yeah.
for what fast meant.
Yeah.
Reset the goalposts, but also expectations, because now it's like, I mean, if I buy something, I'm like, there's not free shipping. This is stupid. I don't want it.
Yes,
Right.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we're trying to achieve is to keep like pushing ourselves, trying to set those goalposts even further
Yeah.
in service to our customers.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Well, guys, thank you so much for talking and giving a little bit, under the Ping hood, view into what you're doing and some of the technology. I think it's really exciting to hear and really exciting what you're doing and the opportunity you're giving to, people that are customers and have been following your journey for so long, and the chance to actually be a part of it is so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Thanks.
I'm excited,
Yeah.
yeah.
Always fun to talk about. We could talk about this for hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, eventually it'll be hours worth of podcast, and we'll
Oh yeah.
dive
Yeah, I
into
guess
all these
so.
topics, and somebody, they can
Yeah.
binge watch it here on YouTube or Spotify or wherever they find their best episodes, and they should share it. So we're on Spotify. Share with your friends.
Yes, absolutely.
Sweet.
On behalf of Rob Whitten and Jane Lowe, you've been listening to the Morning Ping. Until next time.